Hello and welcome to Postcards from a Soul and Her Human. I'm the human Sophia. If you're returning, thank you for coming back and taking this incredible journey with me. If you are new, please know how grateful I am that you're here. This is an interesting ride. Every time I think about my life, I have to giggle these days because I am essentially alone. I'm in my house most of the time, unless I'm with my girls. And my life is extraordinary. What I experience on my own is absolutely extraordinary, and I've described my life as magical many times. And I've had magical experiences. I've described them throughout the episodes. The cosmic spider, the tornado of birds that appeared above my head. There's so many examples of this throughout my awakening period, which is nearing 5 years now, and this period of isolation that I've been in, that has been described as a holding place or a place of transition and transformation for me to exist in while my new world was being prepared for me, which would be the next life that I'm meant to step into at 63 years old. I think, or maybe 64. I don't know. I've completely let go of time because time doesn't matter. I've said this before. It's always right now, so I don't worry about when things happen. I've learned to really appreciate where I am in the moment and not project anything forward or backward. And this is really the trick. This is the key to acceptance and liberation of a life that used to be driven by fear and lack, which is now I just feel this extraordinary abundance in every moment. Nothing has to happen. I've been given examples of this magic, and I had an extraordinary experience again, and I wanted to share it with you. I went to record a couple of weeks ago to talk about something similar to this, about my intuitive process and how I receive information and how it translates into an action or a response in my world. And when I went to do the episode, the cord for my laptop was missing. And I realized that my daughter, who was here working, she's an event producer. She was working here at my house while I played with my granddaughter, and we have the same laptops and we share the same cords. Well, she took my cord home. I didn't realize it. I wasn't able to record that day, and now I understand why. I wasn't ready. The story had not unfolded yet. I talked about, I think in the last episode that I did, that I felt like I was being called to do another fast. I had done a 3-day fast, which I documented in the episode called 3-Day Fast, and I think The Great Divide. And I talked about my experience with a solar plexus upgrade. And the solar plexus is just below the sternum. It's between the split in the rib cage. And it is our, from what I understand, what I've learned, it is our sense of self, our sense of connectedness to the rest of the universe, which is the oneness that we're meant to remember while we're in this sentient or this sentient form. It is our sense of confidence in our identity, who we are as a person in the world. And I've been getting many upgrades in this area, and rightly so, because my former life, who I lived as Gina, I lived in absolute lack, in a state of victimhood, in a state of trauma and fear. And in order for me to live an entirely new life, which I've talked about many times, I'm stepping into an era of great abundance, not just spiritually and emotionally, but materially as well. And I'm meant to experience true love. I'm meant to have a successful career and an impact on the world in a role of leadership. And in order for me to do that, I had to be transformed. And this is what our soul does with us in the 3D, in this incarnation, when we show signs that we're ready. And what I mean by that is we can resist this our entire lives, and we just come back and try again. And this is a choice we make. We're not forced to do this. There's no greater being who is judging us. We judge ourselves. We come into this world or this incarnation, into this 3D matrix or this school for the soul to learn, in order to evolve beyond things that we've experienced in other lifetimes, or beyond what our ancestry had experienced. And that can be a very difficult thing. You come into this incarnation completely erased of of who you are at a divine level. And we're all eternal light and love. We don't exist in form naturally. This is a projection of our consciousness into an illusionary form, into an illusionary video game, basically, to have an experience to teach us about polarity, to teach us from a place of polarity and different perspectives who we are, and help us to evolve beyond the limitations that we perceive to be who we are in this form. And what I mean by that is we forget who we are, so we have to play the game without knowing the rules or the outcome, which challenges the soul through the human experience to evolve past limiting beliefs or blocks, trauma, pain, fear, all of the gambit of the lower vibrational or negative, perceived as negative experiences that we have while we're in this form. None of them are negative. None of them are by accident. They're all designed by us, the soul, having the human experience as a projection into this 3D reality, which is just an illusion. It's all designed by us to help us to grow as a soul. If we just lived in pure consciousness and formlessness, we don't have anything to do, basically. We're already everything. Oneness is oneness. We're all one consciousness. But this gives us an opportunity to project our consciousness into one small fragment or a focused environment where we can really look with eyeballs, which we have in its human body, and see through transaction or through interaction, mostly with other souls, what we're capable of, what we're capable of learning or perceiving, and that evolves our soul. And once we're done incarnating, we become a guide, or we become an ascended master, or whatever, the trajectory for our soul is. But we come here to learn, period. There's nothing that we do or experience that is an accident. When we die, we're ready to die. We decide as a soul when the exit is. It's not accidental. It may appear accidental to those around us, but the soul knows exactly what they're doing. And because I understand all this, I don't have any fear. I don't live in fear. I don't live in lack. I'm free to enjoy my life from a place of absolute childlike wonder. And I've talked about this before, and I guess I just wanted to really punctuate that, because it really helps you to understand what's coming. Because I've let go of or shed whatever the right, whatever the term that suits us best. And for me, it's just, I'm remembering who I am. I don't come in learning who I am. I come in remembering. So an awakening is a remembering. It's nothing new. And because I'm awakening, I'm being blessed with memories and gifts and abilities from all the lifetimes that I've lived. And they're innumerate. And there's just innumerate. And the magical experiences that are happening in my life are just allowing me to sit in childlike wonder. It honestly feels like I am reborn, and that can be off-putting, because what does that really mean? It means that I see the world completely differently. I don't see it from a place of lack or pain or fear or insecurity. I see it from a place of an absolute abundant expectation. And I've said this many times before, I expect magic. I expect my life to be full of miracles. And because I expect that, it absolutely, it is. Whether it is provable to you, whether it is something I can say, here's the math, and this is why it's true, it doesn't matter. All that matters is that it's true to me. And that's what true sovereignty is. It's not needing someone else to validate my experience in order for my experience to be true. It is just embracing my unique and individual experience, and knowing that that's all that I need. And in that sovereignty of spirit, of abundance, of receptivity, of magical experiences, I am creating this environment, creating this world that I now live in, which is, and again, I am 90% alone. And I spend a lot of time with my girls, but my world has dissolved so much that and I'll use the word literally because it is literal. I go from my girls' house, who are 3 exits away, home and I have zero life beyond that. I don't go out. I don't eat out. I don't meet friends. I don't speak to anyone on the phone. I don't have anyone from Gina's life, who was my former self, in my life, Sophia. No one, nothing. The things I used to enjoy, I don't do anymore. I used to love to go to the movies. I used to love to, uh, what else did I guess there wasn't much. I used to love to go to the movies. I think I've been preparing for this a long time, but I don't do anything. And I don't feel any lack. I don't feel alone. I just feel this extraordinary excitement for each day, no matter what happens. And I think this is really the Holy Grail. This is what we come here to remember, that we are everything and we are nothing at the same time, which is, I know it sounds like a complete, like a crazy thing to say, but we are everything and we are nothing. And when we can identify with that, we are completely free. I'm liberated from expectations of others. I'm liberated from my own expectations of what I should or shouldn't be doing in the world. In this absolute energetic alignment with my soul's purpose, I can just feel every day what's right for me and respond only to that. My mind has nothing to say about it. This is living a heart-led life. If I feel good in my body, if I feel inspired, then I move forward. If I don't, then I don't. And if I think something, and this is another thing about this clarity, about this sovereignty of spirit, this all and nothing existence, is when I think something, and this is a really interesting thing that I kind of discovered lately. I understand that my field is clear now, and my field is my auric field. It's my energetic field. And if you understand yourself as energy, you are a field of energy. And if something enters my field without me wanting it, it's because I'm not sovereign enough to protect myself. So in Gina's life, I spent my life allowing other people's energy in my field. And that field of it, if you erase the body and just picture me as a waving field of energy, anyone who walks by me has the ability to interject their energy into mine. And as an empathic person who has deep empathy for other people and for life itself, it's easy for me to absorb other people's energy. So when I'm not protected, and by protected, I mean I'm not sovereign in my own energy, I'm not everything and nothing, then I am deeply affected by that. And I may even take on that energy as my own, which changes my life experience. So if I'm with a person who's in their low energy, who's negative and who is always complaining and who is not seeing the beauty and magic in the world, which I don't align with those, no offense to those people. I was one of those people. I don't align anymore energetically. So there's no way for that person's energy to penetrate mine, because mine is deeply protected. There's so much more there. But my point is that as a field of energy, I know now, since I'm clear, since the emotional debris has been removed, and I had another purge just recently, which I'll talk about, since the low vibrating or the dense energy has left my body, I don't know to what degree, I would say nearly completely at this point, after nearly 5 years in isolation, I no longer have, how do I put this? I wanted to say a propensity, but that's not really true. It's like I'm not open to other people's energy fields. So what comes into my energy field is for me. And this is thoughts. I'm talking about thoughts. When you are in a low vibration and you are in lack and you are in need and you're feeling abandoned or traumatized by other people or by life, you are tapping into a field of thoughts or energy from the collective that affect you. So you are aligning with frequency wise, and you're attracting a similar or like frequency. So the thoughts that you're thinking are being drawn from an energetic field of similar thoughts. So you may be thinking about something that isn't even your thought, but it is able to get into your energy field because of the pattern of thoughts that you perpetuate. So what I mean by that is when you think negatively or low or you live in lack, you attract those thoughts. So it's almost like you can't help it. You're basically attacked by the collective lack energy. I hope that makes sense. So when you raise your vibration through being alone and accepting who you are at a in your gut, accepting who you are right now, because you can't change anything about yourself until you accept yourself. And this is such an extraordinary thing to learn. I had to accept myself who I was. I had to say, yeah, I allow myself to be a victim because I identify with being a victim. I allow myself to be abandoned because I expect to be abandoned. I allow myself to be abused because I accept it as normal. This is who I am. This is part of my world. When I started to realize those patterns and I started to say, no, I'm not doing that anymore, I started to shed that lack, shed that insecurity, shed that victimhood, shed all of those things, and literally ascend out of that energy into a higher frequency. Every time I would raise my frequency, the thoughts now that are available to me energetically from the collective have now shifted upward as well. So in this higher frequency energy, which I'm in the highest I've ever lived in this lifetime, I don't know exactly technically what it is, I no longer attract those thoughts from the collective. So this is how permeating energy is. And we have to understand we're energetic beings. We're not physical beings. We're energy purely. We just appear to be physical. So when we think negative thoughts, we're attracting the collective negative thoughts and we're barraged with it. When we think positive and we accept ourselves and we start to see how alignment and frequency and magnetism works, it's easy to see, oh, all I have to do is change that pattern. Okay, so instead of saying I'm expecting to be taken advantage of today, I say I expect to be respected today. I'm going to start by respecting myself. There's just a week's worth of discussion on this that I won't go into, but the point I'm trying to make is because my frequency is so high now, the thoughts that I attract from the collective are on a whole other level. So what that means to me is, and for the point of the story, is I am sovereign in my energetic field. No one with a low vibration intention, whether it's known or unknown, can penetrate it. So when I have a thought, it's pure and it's meant for me. So it's the truth. I used to have to fight my thoughts. My heart was always fighting my head. But that coherence comes in after a time, and all of your energetic centers, which are your chakras, start to align. And the frequency of the earth and the frequency of the universe start to flow through me back and forth, and it creates a torus shape around my body, which recycles the energy and gathers new from both. This is a whole thing I don't really understand technically that happens. I just feel it. I become sovereign and I become a channel. And because I'm a channel, I am clear as a channel, I have to be clear of my own emotional debris. So this is why I've gone through such a dumping and shedding and emptying out of who I am over the last 5 years, so I can be this new version of myself who is now Sophia, who enters into this new epoch, quite literally a new lifetime. This is not Gina transitioning into a better life. This is Gina going home, Sophia taking over and living a lifetime I could have never lived otherwise. And I want to make that really clear. And this is completely soul-led. My brain had nothing to do with this. All I ever had to do was get my brain out of the way and trust that my heart was guiding me. And once I was able to do that, it was effortless. So my field of energy is clear. And whatever thoughts come into my brain, not my heart, because my heart is really my main brain. When thoughts come in now, I can trust them. I don't have to doubt them or fight with them, wrestle with them. I don't have to wonder if these are someone else's thoughts. So this is complete sovereignty. This is complete, I am all and then I am nothing, because I don't have to be anything. I don't have to prove anything. I can just exist, and that's enough. And when I got to this point, I realized that me just embracing the fact that I'm meant to exist in this high vibration or in this love, joyful, playful, and I can't accentuate the playful part enough. This is my inner child who has been suppressed and oppressed. How many lifetimes I have no idea, coming out to play. And she's living the rest of this life. When I play with my granddaughter, I'm literally, my inner child is playing with another child. I can't get enough of her. I play with her. I don't go on my phone while she plays. I don't watch TV while she plays. I sit and play with her because I get so much gratification from that. And I'm in such awe of her because I feel like a child looking at another child. This is just a state of awe that I exist in. So when I think something, I know it's true. And especially if my heart agrees or my body feels that agreement. And this is what coherence is. It is escaping the matrix, and I have to keep calling it that because it is like an overlay of low density energy that keeps us all in that low density energy. And when you break through the veil by raising your vibration, and you have to use intention to do it, you see that there's a whole other world above it, and that the matrix is just a place that I lived for a while to learn the lessons that allowed me to ascend to this place where now I can see it all for what it is basically all it is. So when I talk about living in a magical existence, I'm going to tell you what happened to me, which is extraordinary. Wow. I was guided to do a longer fast. And I said this in the last episode. I wasn't sure. And I want to explain to you how this works. And this is what I tried to do a couple weeks ago as an episode, but I'm going to start with that, is how my intuition is seeded or breadcrumbed, I think is the better way to put it. Is I'll see something, and this is the reason why I keep my social media completely clean. And this again is another way to empty out the contents that you view or you consume. Same with my refrigerator. I emptied everything out that is a barrier or that causes distortion in my body. The social media is another form of distortion. When we're constantly doom scrolling or we're looking at things that are negative, we are impacted. Again, that energetic field is so easy to penetrate when we're not sovereign, when we're not coherent. So when we go on our social media and we doom scroll, or we are validated in how we feel about ourselves by what we see, because again, we're attracting all that energetically, that alignment of like thoughts and feelings and consciousness. It's all magnetism. I cleared it all out. I don't follow anyone on social media except for a person that I collaborate with and another person who creates in the world something I care about. So I follow him. I don't follow anyone else. I cleared everything out of my Instagram and my Facebook. I don't follow anyone on Facebook except for my one collaborator friend. In my YouTube channel, I don't subscribe to anyone. And this is all very purposeful because I don't want anything coming into my social media. And again, think of the energy field that might try to penetrate this sovereignty that I have cultivated. I honestly wouldn't be subject to it at this point anyway, because I've risen so high in my frequency. It can't find me. It's like blind in the darkness because my frequency is in a whole different dimension. It's not in my dimensional reality. Only higher vibrational thoughts, feelings, and experiences and people are going to be entering into my world to help me move into and then cultivate my new existence. So everything is clear. So when I look at social media, I know that if it comes into my feed, it is my soul team speaking to me. And this is so fun, and I love it so much. And you may not believe me, and it's okay. Again, who cares? This is my experience. They send me all kinds of referrals on products, and mostly products that I'm looking for. I'll say out loud, boy, I really, I want a moisturizer that isn't full of toxins, that is absolutely natural. And I don't want, my skin can be dry in certain places. I live in a area where the air gets very dry because it's so cold. Today it's 25 degrees. It's March 1st, 2026. So I'll say it out, I'll think about it or say it out loud. And the next day I look in my feed and there's a product that matches what I asked for. And this has happened throughout the last 5 years. And I didn't understand what was happening at first, but this is my soul team helping me to live life through my routine, beauty, my exercise routine. I've learned everything that I do through that. The food that I eat, I'm learning every day about fasting, about, there's a whole other thing here, probably a series of episodes on where my diet is evolving to, which I won't talk about now. But it all gets breadcrumbed in there. And what I mean by breadcrumbed is I may look at it today and not understand the impact it's going to have on me. But a week or two later, or maybe a couple of days later, it'll contextualize into something else. And I'll go, oh, that's why I saw that. Now my intuition has something to grab onto. And this is how our teams work with us. And it may not necessarily just be social media. But until you clear your social media, you're not going to get these messages. Not only are you not tuned to them frequency wise or magnetically, because it's all about magnetism, your soul's going to take you one step at a time. So if you respond to your soul, like if you get a feeling when you're looking at doom scrolling and you say, I feel like I shouldn't look at this anymore. And you go, and you keep scrolling, you just told your soul you're not ready to grow, because your soul is urging you to do that. A feeling is an urging. And if you, okay, so conversely, if you feel like I shouldn't be looking at this anymore, and you go, you know what, I'm going to stop, and you put the phone down, or better yet, you delete all the people that you follow that might attract that type of frequency or that type of content. Now you're telling your soul, okay, I hear you. And your soul is going to start advancing what they're teaching you, and that takes you along that road of evolution. This is how it works. It's all your heart and your feeling. Your mind is the last thing to learn, so you have to ignore it in the beginning. I know it's crazy, but it's such an amazing experience, because I remember fighting my mind so many times. I'm like, no, that's not real. This is real, not this. And now I trust that my mind is connected. It's all coherent. So thoughts are helpful now. They are actually instrumental in me taking responsive, inspirational action in the world. So when I look at my social media, it breadcrumbs my intuition. So I know when I see something, and for example, the fasting, I started to see, this is so funny. I started to see posts about fasting. And again, I don't follow anyone. How is this algorithm that is supposedly controlled by a metrics of data that is collected in some place, and however it works, the algorithm in my social media, because I'm so highly connected to the magnetism, by magnetism to this higher frequency, the algorithm is controlled by that frequency now. So I don't get anything in my social media that isn't meant for me. So and I know that sounds nuts, but you have to experience to really understand what I'm talking about. And especially my YouTube channel, I've talked about this over and over, how I only get information that is helping me currently right now on my journey. What do I need to know? So I started to see posts about fasting again. And I'm like, okay, guys, I get it. You want me to fast again? I don't remember when I fasted. It was 3, 4, maybe 5 months ago. I did a 3-day fast. And then I started to see posts about fasting again. And I said out loud, okay, I see it. When I get more than maybe 3 or 4, I know that I'm being urged to do something. This is not just, well, my brain is on board now, but this is my heart. When you get that heart-led kind of like, I feel like I should do this, or I feel like there's something here. When you ignore it, you're telling your soul you're not ready to grow. When you embrace it and say, okay, what do I need to learn from this? What do I need to do here? Then your soul starts to feed you more and more by your intuition, and then you're able to take inspired action. Started to see the post, not only 3 or 4, 5, 6, 10, every day, every post was fasting. I'm like, I got it. How long should I fast? There was anywhere from 30 to 40 days. And I learned that this back in the biblical times, when initiates wanted to learn from the masters, they were required to fast for 40 days before they can learn the teachings of the masters back in the biblical times. And this is the time of Yeshua, Jesus. I also learned through the post that a 5-day fast was really effective in triggering autophagy, which is your body's natural cleansing mechanism of old cellular waste, toxins in the body that could develop into cancers and terminal diseases, or even just dis-ease in the body over time. I talked about this before, that autophagy kicks in after the first day, and a 5-day fast is a really deep cleansing. So I originally thought it would be 5 days, but I was getting so many different time frames about, that talked about different types of benefits, that I decided I would leave it open-ended. That I said, you know what, I'm just going to do it as long as I feel intuitively inspired. And this is the way I get to live now. I don't have to listen to anyone else. I didn't have to read a book. I thought I wanted a book, and I went to buy one 2 different times, and I never followed through because my heart said, you don't need it. And there's a couple of reasons, and I'll explain this too. Wow, this is so amazing. I'm just so excited every day to be here all by myself. I have the most extraordinary life completely alone. And that just is, it's amazing. What was I saying? Oh my gosh, this is another thing that keeps happening, is I keep forgetting what I'm going to say. And this is what I understand is a cellular disconnection from my old reality, and my new one is calling me, and my brain is kind of stuck between the two. It'll come to me, I guess. But I decided to leave the fast open-ended, is what I was saying, and I just figured I'd intuitively navigate it, which is what my intention was. So I intended to do this fast during a 9-day period where my daughter and granddaughter and her husband would be gone at an event in another state, because I watch my granddaughter every day during the week for my daughter while she's working on this event. So 3 weeks up to an event are very busy for her. So I'm with my granddaughter anywhere from 6 to 10 hours a day. So I want to make sure that I felt good, and I didn't have another, because the 3-day fast I did was so emotionally and biologically, physically challenging. I didn't want to put myself in that state while I had responsibility of my granddaughter. So I said, I said it out loud, guys. And I say, guys, I'm talking to my spirit team, who are the angelic realm primarily. These are my ancestors. I said, I'm going to do the fast. I got you. I hear you, when the girls are gone. So I'm not disturbed, and I'm not maybe taxed unnecessarily while I'm trying to be there for my daughter. That was not to be. This is so funny. This story is amazing. It was not to be. A few days later, the post about the fast continued everywhere. Everywhere I looked was fasting. I'm like, okay, I got it, guys. I'm going to do the fast. It's going to be open-ended. I'll do it as long as you need me to. It's fine. And you have to understand, I'm already really lean. I changed my diet I stopped eating meat about 1.5 years ago. I stopped eating gluten, dairy, and eggs, and refined sugar, except for a tiny bit, about 8 months ago, 8 months ago. So my weight is down. I mean, I haven't been this lean since I think in my 20s. So I'm like, I don't know if I really want to lose any more weight, but I'm not doing it for weight loss. I said, oh, this is what I started to say. Thank you. What I know has happened to me, and talk about weight loss and food, is over the last 5 years, I have been transformed from a carbon-based foundation, molecular structure, to a crystalline or crystalline, depending on how you want to pronounce it, structure. And all this means is, as the density has been released from my body emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and physically, because my weight is way down as well, the density of my energetic makeup has also been shed and has been replaced with light, sunlight, plasmic light, photon light. And this is why it's so important for me, all of us, to be out in the sun, because we get that ionic energy from the sun. We also get it from being barefoot on the earth. We also get it from leaning against trees. These negative ions are necessary for our body systems to relax. If we're too full of positive ions, which our bodies are full of, without the sunlight or the earth or the trees or clean water, and that's a whole nother thing, we are full of positive charged ions, and our systems are always struggling. We need the negative ionic infusion daily, primarily from the sun and the earth, to keep our systems balanced. But as I grow in my frequency, as I rise in my frequency, and my dietary needs have changed to accommodate my new body's internal structure, I did forget what I was going to say. Man, this is really getting annoying. Well, obviously, I don't need the density of the food anymore. Oh, this is what I was saying. The density of the food had to change because I cannot. I don't have the capacity for the dense food anymore. Let's just put it that way. So I've been guided to eat less and less food. I've been guided to do intermittent fasting, which I was doing up until this fast. So the internal molecular structure of my body has changed so much that I require more light than food. Let's just put it that way. And I know this intuitively. This is not something that I read in a book or that someone told me. I know that my body is sustained primarily now by energy, that food is not the primary source of fuel for my body. And I'm being guided down this road. Actually, I was guided to buy a book. I haven't bought a book in a while because I don't have any teachers. I don't follow any prophets or gurus or anyone claiming to be a spiritual leader, because this is all happening in my body. This is my guides, my higher self, my oversoul guiding me through my intuition that I had to clear all the debris out of the way in order to have access to. So just to be clear, this is my sovereign journey. It's not anyone else's. And what I say does not apply to anyone else. You have your own journey. You have your own routines that you are inspired to do. And please know that what I talk about is not meant for anyone else. It's just my experience. It's your job to remember what yours is. So I know my body doesn't exist primarily on food anymore. That has evolved over the last 5 years. My body is now mostly light. It's no longer density. The density was able to capacitate the food. The light body, or the crystalline body, which my molecular structure has literally changed, cannot capacitate the food anymore. And my food has to become lighter and lighter. And I mean that in both contexts: lighter weight, lighter diet, whatever, physical, like photon light, and lighter in volume, I guess is what I want to say. So I'm being guided towards a diet that is going to be primarily fruit. And I'll talk about that down the road. But anyway, I know that I don't have to worry about losing weight because my body is not relying on the food to keep me healthy anymore. It is not, I'm not saying it's not necessary, at least not yet, because I feel like wherever I'm meant to end up, which I have no business, it's not I don't care what the outcome is. I'm going where I'm guided, period. All I care about what's right now. I don't worry about what's coming. Outcomes don't mean a flipping thing to me. That is my oversoul's business. So I'm guided to do this open-ended fast. And I said, I'm yours. Whatever you need to do with me during this fast, I understand. And I knew something that I didn't really think about before I started the fast was when I did the 3-day fast, my body needed to be emptied of food. I needed to be in a fasted state to go through the solar plexus upgrade that I described in great detail during that episode I mentioned earlier. And I knew that something was going to happen. I just didn't know what. So I said I would do the fast, but I'm going to wait till my girls leave. That wasn't going to be. I had a 2-week period where I felt really crappy. And when I say crappy, I call it asymptomatic. And I know that's a scary thing, but it's ascension symptoms to me. It means something completely different. So I'm ascendi. I use that term ascendi when I'm feeling off. And when I feel off, it's usually a low-grade static across my chest, which is my upper heart chakra being prepared. It is a deep fatigue in my body, a bone fatigue, where I might feel good, but my body is just like, nope, you're not doing that. So I felt off for like 2 weeks straight. And I said, okay, my girls aren't leaving for another month. I guess I'll just, whatever this is, it's an ascension phase. Oh my gosh, this is so funny. About 2 weeks earlier, before this started, I received a message in my YouTube channel, which again, no mistake of what the messages I received. It was a reading from a young woman named Amanda, who is the Connected Conduit. I've linked her channel many times in the description area on YouTube and on Buzzsprout, where my podcast the audio of my podcast is hosted. The message said, you're going to go through another major ascension. It's going to be really intense, but you can handle it. And I'm like, oh crap, here we go again. And then the subsequent messages after that were about my whole chakra system being refined and how my solar plexus was going to be literally rebirthed. And I thought, how much more can I possibly release? And then another message said, and again, I know these messages are preparing me for what's coming. And this is what my team does. This is what all of our spirit team does. They speak to you in many, many ways, through synchronicities and signs, through serendipity. Nothing happens by accident. Nothing is wasted. So another message said that, what was I going to say again? Forgive me, guys. Sorry. I think what I was saying was what I was done, that my whole chakra system was being redone, and the way that being refined. So again, very specifically, so I could step into this new era as a completely new version of myself. So I tried to wait 2 weeks. I have these ascension symptoms. I'm still a month away or 3 weeks away from my girls leaving. I wasn't planning on doing it. I went to my daughter's house, and I have to bring all my own food because I'm gluten-free, egg-free, dairy-free. So I had my breakfast, and I just had this feeling. I thought, I just said after I ate, I feel like you don't want me to eat anymore. I mean, I just knew it. It was in my body. I said out loud, I feel like you don't want me to eat anymore. Can't explain it. That's just what I said out loud. And then I put it aside and I ate the rest of the day. And by the time I got home, I was famished. I'm like, I wasn't eating dinner at that. I was trying to do not trying. I was doing a 20-hour fast, eating 4 hours out of the day. This is the intermittent fasting. I've been trying different types. 16-8, 17-7. I was doing a 24, this one. So I wasn't going to eat anything else that evening, but I got home and I wanted to eat. I made just a big bowl of rice with black beans. I didn't have anything else in the house. And I had a snack later of granola and chocolate chips that I love. And I thought, okay, why did I eat all that? I don't know. I woke up the next morning and I just knew it. I'm not supposed to eat. So that was my body giving me a little last hurrah, telling me, when you wake up in the morning, you're going on your 5-day fast. And I'm like, well, here we go. So I started that day. I didn't bring anything to my daughters. It was a Friday. So I essentially started the fast the night before at 8 p.m., which was February 19th. So today's March 1st. I didn't know how long I was going to do the fast. So I went to my daughters on Friday. All I brought was water. I didn't bring anything else because it's a water fast. Day 1, completely uneventful. Day 2, which was a Saturday, again, I'm alone now, I'm not with my girls. I wake up feeling this incredible pressure in my body. And I'm thinking, what is going on? And I knew that I had to expect anything because this is my soul team's, my oversoul's chance to do this work on me. Another message I had been receiving for the weeks before was that about the 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. time period at night. And you may or may not know this, but between 3 and 4 a.m. is when the veil between dimensional realities or the higher dimensions and the 3D is the thinnest. So I don't know if you identify with this, but I wake up almost every night around 3 a.m. and it takes me a little while to fall back asleep. And I knew that something was going on spiritually, but now I understand because the message said very clearly, your spirit team is working on you as you sleep. So they're sending in all this new energy to help transform my body, my chakra system, my nervous system, trying to get me to the point where I can hold all this light, all of this new photon energy, and I can keep expanding spiritually. But in order to do that, my body has to have the capacity to handle all this light. So I'm being transformed on a daily basis, mostly while I sleep, into the capacity where I can embody this light being, this oversoul who is massive in this physical body. I kind of knew all this, but now they're telling me when you wake up at 3 a.m., it's because the veil is the thinnest and you have so much new energy in your body, it jolts you awake. And it may take you a long time to fall back asleep. And they just advise just to lay there and either meditate or just allow yourself to relax until you fall asleep again. So that's what I was told. And it was regarded as or characterized as or referred to as spiritual surgery. I think I'm going to name this episode spiritual surgery and something else. Well, and sparkles, and I'll tell you why. So I now understand, before this fast even started, what to expect, even though in the moment when I heard it, I didn't know what it meant to me. But this is the breadcrumbing that I'm talking about. All these messages, they may not mean anything in the moment. Another message, well, I'll talk about that in a minute. But when I finally am put in the situation or I'm having the experience I'm being conditioned for, then it all comes together. So that's what I mean by the breadcrumbing. And my intuition knows I can trust it because it wouldn't be there if it wasn't the truth. So I knew all this before. So I woke up day 2 and I was feeling all this pressure in my body. I could feel my solar plexus starting to thump, which happened in the first 3-day fast that I did. This was the second morning. Now, just keep in mind, you're not technically fasting till after the first day. So this was not even 24 hours. Was it 24 hours? Yeah, it was the second full day. So it was the second day. I woke up, I had all this pressure. I'm laying in bed and I'm thinking, why? Okay, what are we doing here? I said, I'm just going to get up and see how I feel. I sat on the edge of my bed and I looked at the clock and it was 10:22 a.m. 22 is an angel number. I identified 2s, 4s, mostly 2s and 4s, mostly 444, 222, 111, definitely 1212 mirroring numbers. All these numbers are angelic and they signify, they are signs from my angels, from the angelic realm who I am a part of. that I am, whatever I'm going through is being validated. Whether I'm thinking, if I look at and I see 222 on the clock, whatever I was thinking is being validated. That's how it works. That's how they work with you. So I woke up, I sat on the edge of my bed, looked at my clock. It was 10:22 a.m. And I don't go to sleep till after 2 a.m. most nights. So that's my normal, I'm not sleeping in. I sat on the edge of the bed and I started to feel emotional. And I thought, okay, here we go. And I started to cry. And then I started to sob. And I said, what is going on here? And before I knew it, I cried for 20 minutes. And what happened during that was an emotional purge. And I knew, because the messages said, you're going to be letting go of emotional debris in your body that you thought you already processed. This was yet another message that, again, wasn't contextualized until this experience. I said, what that possibly else could be left in my body? But what I experienced was, because I let it be what it is, I didn't try to judge it, I didn't try to suppress it, I started to cry, and then I started to, and I talked about this with the last fast, I started to speak, and what came through me was what I needed to transmute, what was still in my body that needed an extra transmutation in order to be completely purged. And I started to talk about Gina. And if, for those of you who don't know, my given name is Gina. It's not Sophia. I changed my name about a year and a half ago. I was urged by my spirit guides to change my name to better match the new version of myself. And I chose the name Sophia Maya based on Mother Sophia, who I regard as the universe or God. I don't look at a patriarchal figure as God. I know that God is consciousness. God is oneness. And I know that the original name for consciousness was Sophia. It's a feminine energy. It's not masculine. So I named myself Sophia. Maya came from my home planet, which was my current, for those of you who know me, this is not strange at all. But I have a Pleiadian ancestry as well as angelic. The Pleiades is a place that I came from to come here. But my first home as a Pleiadian was on a planet called Maya, which is in, I think, the Orion star system. There was a huge war. We were basically refugees who left our original planet and went to the Pleiades, and that's why we ended up there. Maya also means Gaia, which is, of course, Mother Earth. So I chose the name Sophia Maya as my spiritual name, and I changed it legally a year and a half ago or so. So what happened is I started to talk to Gina, who is the old version of myself. And I started to say, my beautiful Gina, I called her a warrior. I called her a lioness. I said, I understand how beaten and battered and bruised and scarred. I mean, she is the version of me that got me here. So I was crying. I was leaking out of every orifice in my face, and I was crying, saying, I love you so much. Thank you for getting me here. Thank you for taking all the punches and for suffering the abuse and the abandonment and the betrayal and the trauma and the lack and basically being in battle your entire life, trying to just survive. I said, I love you so deeply, but I want to send you home. And I was crying, and I was just, my nose was leaking, my eyes. I mean, I was just blubbering. I said, it's time for you to go home. I always thought I would integrate her and take her with me. So even at night when I talk to my body, I say Gina and Sophia. I knew that I was releasing Gina. It was time for her to go home. I always pictured she'd stay with us, me and Sophia, or Sophia, in a lounge chair drinking a pina colada, watching from the sidelines. But I knew it was time to send her home. So as I was crying and sobbing, I said, I want to send you back to source. You are no longer needed. We're going to keep the best parts of you, and we transmuted the rest, and we're sending your essence home. You're done. Your job is done. You don't have to stay. So I released her to the universe, back to source energy, and with the deepest love I've ever felt in my heart before, sobbing. And I knew that's what that emotional release was for. When I got myself composed and I blew my nose and I sat there, when I went to lay back down, because now I'm exhausted, I turned to look at the clock again. It's 10:44. And again, 2s and 4s. And I knew my angels were right there with me. And they knew what I was going to go through. I didn't. This human who is the avatar having the experience on behalf of my oversoul. I didn't know what was coming. So my spirit team was validating that, yes, you just had a purge. You can trust it. Just relax. Now you're done. So I laid back down and I slept again, and I didn't wake up again. And when I looked at the clock, it was 2:22. That's how exhausted I was. So that was the second day of this fast that it was open-ended. On day 3, I woke up and I started to feel the really serious solar plexus palpitations. And if you remember from the last episode, I'll real quickly recap it. What it feels like is my heart is racing. I mean, ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. If you've ever had your heart really race, but it's not in my heart, it's in my solar plexus, which is just below my sternum, just thumping. And I said, here we go. Here comes the solar plexus work. And I must have needed a lot of it because this is the second really big solar plexus ascension I'm going through. And at the same time, my upper heart chakra, which was also told, I also knew that this was also getting an overhaul. The upper heart is an extra chakra. It's not the heart chakra. I didn't know about this. The upper heart chakra is where unconditional love is seated, where it is remembered. And I'll always use the word remember. I'm not gaining anything new. I'm remembering who I am. And I'm getting access now to these beautiful gifts that I've always carried that have been oppressed by the 3D matrix and the low vibrational energy that I existed in. I'm not there anymore. I'm over here now. Everything that I experience is of a very high frequency. And I live in a Merkaba, and I didn't know what a Merkaba was, and I hope I'm even saying it right. They say that the ascended masters walked around the earth, the low frequency. They were able to remain in their high frequency because they lived within an egg-shaped energy that protected their frequency, and that's called a Merkaba. My home is my Merkaba right now in this old version of my reality that I'm about to be moved from. Well, I don't know when. But so I'm having this incredible upper heart activation, which is me being able to emanate unconditional love from my body, from my words, from my gaze, from my actions, everything I do in the world. I am now remembering, because the oppression is gone. The suppression of who I am is now gone. It's all that is shedded like armor off of a baby. I'm now in this infant state where I am a child again, and I'm being rebirthed into a higher vibrational world that I'm going to occupy in my next life, or not in this lifetime, but in my next life, which is the next phase of my mission, which includes a counterpart who I know who he is. I believe he knows who I am. I don't know when we're going to meet. I know we share a soul characteristic. Our oversouls are brothers. Let me just put it that way. And I was shown this very clearly so I would understand why this man, who is the avatar for his oversoul, who is a very well-known person in his right. He's not a celebrity like the last one was. He's very well-known in the circles that he works in. And he's meant to be my counterpart. At least that's what I know for now. And again, he has free will to come into my world when he's ready, if he so chooses, if he's so inspired, if he is listening to the guidance of his soul. And again, that's up to him. It includes a true love with a counterpart. It includes a role of guidance for others to find their heart connection and their soul's purpose. It includes great material abundance, and I'm talking money, because as a sovereign, everybody, nobody being, I'm trusted with a lot of money because they know my angels. The angels know I'm going to use it to benefit the earth and to benefit humanity and myself and my family, of course. And by walking into a period of great material abundance in love and in success and in purpose, I am changing my bloodline's DNA. I talked about being a generational curse breaker, which a lot of us are. My daughter's one as well. And what that means is when you heal yourself from something that has oppressed you, and all of this happens in our own body. No one else does this to us. When we look in that mirror and we see ourselves as the navigator, as the chart maker, as the ocean creator, as the world creator, we understand that it's all within us. Everything that's happening to us is because of us. We're just attracting experiences so we can have these interactions that show us from a outside perspective who we are and what needs to be healed. When we start to heal, we change the DNA of our ancestry. Because nothing is past, future, present. It's all concurrent. So I said this once before, and I know I channeled this because I didn't know this, is that our souls can fractal their consciousness into many, many different existences, and they're all happening at the same time. There's no linear time. There's no past lifetime. They're all happening at the same time. So when I heal something in my body, I heal everybody. Everybody connected to me in my ancestry. And as an oversoul with the ancient, eternal, I don't know how to put this without saying, because of the age of my oversoul, I have many, 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 many ancestors, many millions of ancestors. So when I heal a trauma, I heal everybody forever. So when I healed all that trauma, I changed the DNA of all of my ancestors. And I'm talking about Isis and many famous ancestors and many not famous, just everyone. And it's 2:02 on my clock as I said that. When I step into a period of abundance, I'm changing the DNA of all my ancestry and of course my own. What that means is no one born after me in the physical world or anywhere else in the universe will ever experience lack again. No poverty, they'll all be successful. They'll all have love. They'll all live abundant lives. It's not just material. That's the very smallest part of it. But this is what we do when we heal ourselves. We're not just healing our own body and our own experience, we're healing our entire ancestry. So you're not just doing it for you. And of course, for me, that's a big motivation. So when I step into this era or this epoch, and it's 2:22 on my clock, of abundance, I am changing reality for myself and everyone that comes after me, including my earth angels, who are my current daughter and granddaughter. They will never live in lack. They will live heart-led lives the rest of their lives. They're not meant to toil for money. None of us are. You can't toil for money in this new world. You have to align with abundance. And you want to call it money, that's fine. If you focus on what you want and it is an escape from who you are, you're only going to get lessons to teach you to accept who you are first. That's how the universe works. So as I step into this era of abundance, I am changing my bloodline. Period. Across all timelines, all dimensions, all realities, concurrent, they're all concurrent. So I knew that I was going through these upgrades, not only for me, but for all of these other souls, or it's all one soul, it's all one consciousness, but you know what I mean. For the sake of discussion in the 3D world, I'm healing every single soul that ever existed in my bloodline and every one that will ever incarnate. So I'm feeling this upper heart activation, which again, I've had many of these, many of them, which is unconditional love. This allows me to see you as a being of pure love. You are going through an experience of remembering, and because I see that, I don't judge you. Because I don't judge you, I can love you. And because I see that in every life form around me, including the plants and the trees and the soil, and everything, unconditional love is a state of being. It is not an emotion. It's not a thought or a feeling. It is a way of life. It is an emanation of frequency from my body. And it's so funny. I wrote an article called Unconditional Love years ago where I described all this and I really didn't understand. Again, I channeled it. And this is what we do. We become divine channels. Wisdom doesn't come from our brains. It comes from the field of energy we're tapped into. Again, it's that frequency. So as a clear channel for divine wisdom and unconditional love, I can walk around this earth literally as a being of light. And I don't mean that in a condescending way at all. We all have this capability. It just depends on where we are in our evolutionary journey, how much light we can carry. We have to be prepared to carry light. We can't just wake up one day and be a light worker. We have to recondition our heart first, and then our body follows in our mind. Anyway, so back to the fasting. So I had this incredible emotional purge where I let Gina go. I said, I release you, Gina, back to source energy with the deepest love I could ever express. Thank you for my beautiful lioness, my warrior, for getting us here. Thank you for taking every scar, every punch, every betrayal, and getting us here. She dragged us here to this to this threshold where I was literally pulled by my ear into isolation so I can begin to heal and then transform and then ascend into this person who is now Sophia and step into this new reality that is going to be materially different in every way than where I was. So day 2, and I made a note here in case I need to, because there was 6 days here. So that was day 2. I woke up with that incredible purge. Day 3, I was just exhausted. I was, my solar plexus was thumping like crazy. The static in my chest was off the charts. I said, okay, guys, do your worst. That was Sunday. Monday, I was watching my granddaughter again. I'm like, oh God, here we go. I couldn't get out of bed Monday morning. I called my daughter and I said, I'm sorry, honey. I need some time. You know, can you manage without me? I'll do my best to come later. And I had to lay on the couch. I was just wiped out. All this asymptomatic event was just encapsulating my whole body now. By the time the afternoon came, I felt better, not great. I went to my daughter's house. I stayed with my granddaughter for a few hours, came home. The next day was day 4. Let's see. I called her in the morning. Oh my gosh, this was crazy. Day 4, I started to say out loud, okay, this is my spiritual surgery, because I'm being awakened abruptly at 3 a.m. and I'm awake for almost an hour every night, which happens a lot to me. So it didn't stand out at first. But by the 4th day, I was that 1, 2, 3? By the 4th day, I was incapacitated. I got myself out of bed. I dragged myself downstairs. I laid on the couch and I stayed there. I couldn't move. And I thought, oh boy, what the fuck? You know, I was so tired. I told my daughter, I can't come over. I'm so sorry. She said, Mom, this is the week before. She said, I'm not going to plan on having you at all during the week. I know that you're doing this fast. The timing isn't perfect, but I know you're being guided. She's very understanding. This was the week before when I told her that I had to start the fast now. I said, honey, I know the timing isn't great. You're in the most busy time before your event, but all I know is I have to do this. So she said, I'm going to make other plans. If you can come, great. If you can't. So that's where we were for that week. I couldn't come. I said, I can't come, honey. She said, Mom, don't worry. I got it. So I was on the couch most of the day. The next day was day 5. I woke up with the worst pain in my lower back and up my spine and between my shoulder blades that I can describe. I couldn't rest in bed anymore. I was absolutely exhausted. My solar plexus was still thumping, just like ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. I still had all the static across my chest, and this fatigue was just bone deep. And so now this is day 5. Drag myself out of bed. I went to look at my social media, which I do every morning. And in my Instagram account, where I had been getting daily multiple posts about fasting, there was not one. I'm like scrolling. I'm like, oh. And I just knew it intuitively. I go, I'm done. It's 5 days. I just knew it. I said, okay, I got it, guys. 5 days. We're done. So I laid on the couch again. I wasn't going to my daughter's. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to get provisions. If my fast is ending, I have to go to the store. I don't want to bother my daughter. She's so busy. And you know how when you feel like when you feel really, really, really fatigued, you're like, well, let me just go and see if I feel better. And that works most of the time. I dragged myself to the grocery store to get a bunch of cantaloupe, which again came up in my social media 2 days before the fast ended. Here's what you should eat after a 5-day fast. And I'm like, oh, of course, everything I need is being fed to me, breadcrumbed. So I knew to go to the store and buy cantaloupe, which is what I would eat for the first 24 hours, which is a way to satiate the system without overloading it. And again, one thing I didn't mention is, which was very interesting to me, is the whole time I did the fast, I was not hungry at all. Even when I was done, I was eager to eat, but I wasn't really hungry. So I went to lay on the couch after I intuited that I was done, and I knew what was happening with the back pain, this intense back pain. What I had learned before, this was a couple years before, is that when you get an energetic upgrade, which is what the spiritual surgery is, when you're in bed at night during that 3 a.m. when you're awakened, it's because your team of light, and I don't know how this works technically, it's not my job, is sending so much new energy into my body, it all gets collected by the spine. The spine is the kundalini of the body. It is the distributor of energy. And I would experience this so often, I didn't know what it was for so long, especially during the early phase of my awakening, is I would like be standing and doing the dishes and my back would ache so bad I couldn't finish. I would have to stop and I had to like curl myself over and relieve my back. I'd sit on the couch for a few minutes so I could finish doing the dishes. And then, of course, I was getting information that this is your spine doing the work of distribution of the new energy that you received during the ascension event. So I knew that when my back was aching, that now it was integration time. So I had received all the new energy that I was going to receive, which is why I was intuitively led to end the fast. I was willing to do a 30 or even a 40-day fast if that's what it was requiring. I knew that I would be guided to stop the fast when the fast was over, and I absolutely was. So I laid on the couch that entire day. I dragged myself to the grocery store and I got my provisions. I came back home and I laid back on the couch. Now you have to understand it's wintertime, it's February. And the only respite I was receiving, and again, photon light, negative ions, which you get from the sunlight and the earth and the trees, from clean circulated water, which I stopped drinking still water. It's another subject. But right through those sliding glass barn doors is my sliders to my patio and the outdoors, and the chair that I'm sitting in swivels. And every morning I sit and look out that window. I'm either outside or looking outside. So in the wintertime months, I'm looking outside all the time. But what I've been able to do during this fasting period is around 4 o'clock in the afternoon when the sun is right over my patio, I sit in this chair and take a sun bath. I'm indoors. I'm in my bare feet. I pull my pants up to my knees. I pull my sleeves up to my elbows. I open my chest and I take off my glasses and I take a sun bath for up to 40 minutes because that is a way for me to get those negative ions any way that I can. And this is not something I prefer. This is something my body craves now. It's not like negotiable. When I go out to get the mail, if it's 15 degrees, I take off my gloves and I lean on a beautiful oak tree in my front yard, who is a spiritual support for me. I mean, I know I talked about the trees that were in my backyard, the ancient twisted willows that I used to feel this incredible connection with. They're gone. So I have now the oak in the front tree. I'll stand with my bare hands on that oak tree for as long as I'm able till my fingers freeze to get my negative ionic infusion for the day. This is how important this crystalline based molecular body, that's how much the sunlight and the earth ionic energy is important to my physical satiation as a human. Again, my primary source of fuel is not food anymore. And I'll talk about that down the road. So I knew the fast was over. I dragged myself to this door. I knew I was integrating this energy because the pain in my back was excruciating. And it spread across the back of my hips, not in my hips, but behind my back of my hips, all the way up my spine from all the way, my entire spine was activated. And between my shoulder blades, and I was laughing because I knew the intense pain had a purpose. I knew what was happening. And this is key. This is the breadcrumbing that my spiritual team uses to make sure I know what's happening and there's no fear in my body. I'm completely alone. There's not anyone who can run to the store for me, who can rub my back, who can tell me it's going to be okay. I don't need any of that. I am not alone. I am absolutely one with Mother Nature, every part of the earth, and my spirit guides and my oversoul, who are always, always with me. And they taught me their language so I could be secure in that. I know the numbers mean that they're here. It's 234 on the clock right now. 234 is progression. That means I'm leaving soon. I don't know what soon means, but I've been seeing that everywhere. Progressing numbers. Anyway, so I'm integrating all this energy through my spine. And I said out loud as I'm laying on the couch, I said, I feel like my wings are trying to poke through because the pain was so intense between my shoulder blades. And of course, the next night I open a YouTube reading and the young lady speaking and she said, oh, I feel this pain between my shoulder blades. She said, like my wings are there. And I said, thank you for the validation. This is how my spirit guides work with me and validate me through every channel that I allow them to. because I cleared all the distortion out of my social media. I cleared it out of the news that I consume, which is zero. I cleared it out of my body, which is the food that distorts my ability to be coherent. And that's the gluten, that's the mucus from milk, that is, and cheese and all the dairy products. That is the, I don't want to say what I heard, but the, eggs, which are, I won't go there. Because I cleared all that out of my body, and I've been guided to progressively do this over the last several years, few years, mostly the last year, 2 years, I am now a coherent instrument of divine energy. So when I have thoughts, they are divine wisdom and they are guidance. I don't, so I know things. And of course, my psychic abilities are coming online. The claircognizance, which is my ability to just know things without knowing how I know it, is off the flippin' charts. And there are other psychic senses coming online. One of them is clairaudience. And this has happened a couple of times. And I won't go into what this event was because I feel like it's for a future episode. But I was sitting in this chair, rocking, listening to music probably 2 weeks ago. I've been learning who my oversoul is, and I'm not going to talk about this in detail yet unless my tribe is ready. I've been guided to know who my oversoul is, and I keep being referred to as a soul. Let me see, how is this put? That I'm held in high regard as a soul. So in the tarot, when this certain card comes up, the readers, all of them almost uniformly say, you are held in high regard in the spiritual realm. And I didn't know what that exactly meant. I went through an epiphanetic event where I learned who I was, and then I was validated who I am as an oversoul through many, many, many ways. Anyway, I was thinking about that. A word came into my head. It wasn't mine. And I know it wasn't mine because it came over a thought. So this is clairaudience coming online, my ability to hear spirit. Sensing spirit is another one. My sensitivity for energy has increased dramatically. When I walk into a place and it feels off, I instantly know it. I can see people much more clearly at a soul level, which makes people extraordinarily uncomfortable. People either literally walk away from me and won't engage me at all, or if they do engage me, they're like looking at me like, what the fuck is happening to me? And I can describe one thing, and this has happened throughout my life. It's not just as an awakened person. I had a tree removed. Just to talk about that, I had a tree removed probably 2 years ago by now in my backyard, a beloved tree. But we had a really big storm in August, and the tree split in two, and it was hanging over a fence, so I had to have it taken down. But this tree was beloved, and I still, when I'm able, go in my backyard and stand on the stump. I didn't remove the stump, so I can feel the energy of that tree. Oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought already. This is ridiculous, guys. I apologize. I don't know. Hopefully it'll come back to me. This is wild. Anyway, yeah, I don't know what that was. I hope it comes back. But anyway, I'm integrating all this energy. My back is killing me. I mean, literally, I couldn't get off the couch. The next day was the day after my fast. So I ended my fast at 8 p.m. that evening on day 5. And I had everything I needed. I had a half cantaloupe, which was divine. It was the most delicious thing I ever ate. I had a little bit of Pellegrino water because it's mineralized, and then that was it. The next day, it was the day 5. I was extraordinarily exhausted. Let's see. Yeah, and I knew, when I called my daughter, who wasn't expecting me, I said, I feel like I had surgery. I feel like I just got home from the hospital, that all the work has been done, all the integrating is still being done, but the major part of it is done. I'm exhausted. I feel like I just got back from the hospital, like when I had my child, that deep, like I just have to rest. That was day 5. I rested all day. I went for a little short walk so I can get outside. I took my sun bath. I did all those things. I went out and touched my tree and did that. I hope I remember what I was going to say. But anyway, I went to bed that evening, and I was laying in bed and I couldn't sleep. One of the things that happened, besides the intense back pain, which was still, I had 2 nights in a row where I couldn't sleep because my back hurt so much, and I didn't want to take anything. And this is something else that didn't really surprise me, but I knew why it happened. I have Aleve in my cabinet. I don't use medication at all. If I have a terrible, terrible headache, which I haven't had one in, I don't even remember the last time, I may take not Aleve. I can't remember the other one. I don't know what it is. Just one, just to take the edge off. I haven't done that in a very long time. And I was laying in bed. This was, I think, night 4. I couldn't sleep. My back hurt so much. I said out loud, I said, I don't want to take anything because I don't want to disturb what's happening in my body. I feel like my nerve endings are all firing because I'm meant to feel what's happening. So I didn't get up. I didn't take anything. I just toughed it out. I couldn't find a comfortable position on night 4. I didn't sleep much at all. So of course I was exhausted on day 5. I realized it was the end of my fast. I went to bed that night after ending my fast at 8 p.m. that night. Couldn't sleep again. But now I had such intense pain in my quadriceps at the top of my thighs. The pain was excruciating. I felt like I had run up a mountain all day long. It was even extended into my shin on my right leg. And I'm laying in bed and I kept rolling around. I said, okay, I'm not going to sleep again. It's fine. I'm just going to feel what's happening. I understand this is energetic integration of this new frequency that is releasing any old version of myself that might still be embedded in this energetic body. I understand what's happening. I'm just going to tough through it. So I rolled around in bed. I finally settled on my left side. And this was around 3 a.m. and I was still awake. And I noticed that my left leg didn't hurt. I'm like, wow, my left leg doesn't hurt at all anymore, but my right leg was flipping, screaming. And if you ever have muscle pain and you're used to it, you know when your body really starts to rest late in the night or early in the morning is when the pain really erupts, because that's where your focus goes, is right to where your pain is. So I'm like, okay, I rolled over on my back, rubbing my right leg. And as I rolled over, I looked up into the corner of my room. And I'm staring in the corner of my room and I'm like, I said out loud, I go, what am I looking at? This was so exciting. Oh my gosh, this is such a fun story. This was the night of day 5. So this was, oh no, this was day 6, the next day after. I'm sorry if I said day 5, I meant day 6. Let me just look and make sure. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Let me just make sure. I don't know if this is important or not. I went through day 6, laid on the couch. This was the day after my fast ended. Couldn't sleep the night before. Night 6, I went to bed. So the fast had been over 24 hours. I went to bed, had this pain, left side, left leg didn't hurt, right leg was killing me. So this was the early morning of day 7. I'm not sure if that's important or not, but I wrote it down, so I want to make sure that I said that right. I looked up in the corner of my room and I just said out loud, okay, guys, what am I looking at? And my room is completely dark, except for the little bit of light that comes in from the windows, the moonlight that comes in. And there's a TV hanging on my wall, 55-inch TV that's been there since I was married, that I had unplugged 3 years ago. I haven't watched TV in my room in years. So it's a very dark screen. And what I could see, what appeared to be little flecks of light. And I just laid there and watched. And I'm rubbing my right leg because the pain was so intense in my right leg. I'm rubbing my right leg and I'm watching. And as I'm watching, these little flecks of light, and I'll call them glints, were firing off all over this TV screen and in the upper corner, in the darkest part of my room, which that TV screen lended to the darkness because it's black. I'm laying there going, what am I looking at? And as I'm just watching and rubbing my leg, the glints of light started to spread. And I instantaneously remembered another breadcrumb that I received about 2 weeks earlier. There's a young lady, she's a gifted channeler named Shay Pila, who is, again, I don't follow anyone. I don't subscribe to anything. When it pops up at the top of my feed, I know I'm meant to have that message. And she's mostly at the top of my feed these days. She's a very gifted channeler, and I watch her channel in real time. It's really interesting to watch her. It's 2:44 on my clock. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I remember the message. She said she was working and she's reading the tarot and she's receiving all these downloads and she's translating all these messages, and she just stopped and she said, look, she looks to her right and she said, looks back and she looks again. She goes, I'm seeing sparkles over here. And she said, she goes, well, everything that happens during my reading is a sign. She said, if you see sparkles, that might be a sign. It didn't mean anything to me in the moment. About a week later, I'm watching another reading of hers and she does it again. She's like, I see sparkles out of in my periphery. She said, if you see sparkles, might be a sign for you of whatever's coming. And again, it didn't mean much to me. Well, now it did. I said out loud, I go, these are the sparkles. And I'm looking at them grow. And if you can imagine, which you may have one of these, I don't know, the projector lamps that project the solar system onto your walls and ceiling, or I don't know what else, stars, whatever. It grew into that full-blown projector lamp experience. There were red, mostly primary red and blue sparkles, and they grew. First, they started to spread across my ceiling and then my walls. And I just look around the room, and I'm in a small bedroom, and I see just these explosions of light all around me, little tiny, tiny explosions of light. I had no idea what it was. So I'm talking to them. I said, oh, whoever you are, I see you. You're beautiful. Thank you for visiting. I don't know. I still don't know what they were. As I laid back in my bed, and I had to cover the light from the clock, which is over to my left, not next to me, but down towards the end of my bed. I have a little extra blanket on my bed. I bundled it up and I put it where I couldn't see the light from the clock. And boy, I had a light show. Just sparkles of all different colors. And as I'm laying there, I can see them by my face. And there's little explosions of red right by my eye, or blue. And I said, what the hell is this? I was so excited, completely by myself. It's 3:44 in the morning, 44, when I looked at the clock, and I'm like, okay, it's between 3 and 4. Maybe this is a visitation because the veil is thin. All these thoughts are going through my head. But I just thought, no, I'm just going to sit here and lay here and enjoy it. I looked down on my blanket, this was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. My whole bed was covered with tiny diamonds. And if you've ever, and I've had this experience recently, and I know it wasn't a mistake. My backyard was full of clean white snow, and the sun was shining. And if you've seen white pure snow with the sun glistening off of it, it looks like diamonds. Just absolute covered with diamonds. And this is what my whole bed looked like when I looked down. White diamonds, not color. All the color was in the air. And there were flecks of diamonds all over my blanket. And my blanket's up here across my shoulders. So I took my arm out and put it on top of the blanket, and they were all over my arm. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just felt like I was receiving this extraordinary gift. These little tiny fairies, or they're an entity who is fractaled into this show for me to witness in my 3D reality. I had no idea what it was. And I just said, thank you. I just kept saying, thank you for this gift of the sparkles. I knew this is what she was saying. She was telling me that I was going to see sparkles. I don't know what they are or what they were. It was the most beautiful thing I ever saw. Now, keep in mind, I was absolutely exhausted. I didn't sleep the night before. I slept about 2 hours. My leg was killing me, my right leg especially. And I said out loud after about 45 minutes, now it's like 4:45 in the morning. I said, I have to sleep, you guys. I don't know. I can't stay up anymore. I have to sleep. I said, thank you so much for the visit. I didn't know what it was. Thank you for the sparkles. But by the time I turned over to go to sleep, my entire room was full of these incredible glinting, tiny, tiny glinting lights of green, blue, yellow, and red. And then the white diamonds that were spread all across my bed, onto my body. And they were everywhere, on the ceiling, on the wall, everywhere. And at the same time, I have to note this too, because my room was so illuminated by all this little glints of light, I noticed also, and that maybe someone else has had an experience like this, I noticed also when I looked at my TV screen, because it was so dark in that one spot, that there were waves of it looked like a time lapse of clouds. If you've ever seen a time lapse of clouds moving, that's what it looked like. Really faint, ethereal, translucent clouds moving around, waving all over my room. And I said, am I looking at energy? Is this what energy looks like? I didn't know that the glints of light were energy, but I said, I feel like I'm looking at waving energy. It was just my whole room was moving. It was like I could see the air. That's the best way I could describe it. It was the most extraordinary thing. I said out loud, guys, am I seeing energy? Is this another psychic sense that I'm now seeing energy? And I don't know yet what it meant, or if it means anything other than a gift that I was given from my angels to have a magical experience so I could share it with you. I refer to myself as an experiential transducer, and I gave myself this name a while ago, not really understanding what it meant. I'm meant to have experiences that I can share. I'm meant to share the magic that exists around all of us if we can just clear the distortion. And I'm not telling you what to do at all. All I get to do, not all, what I get to do for the rest of my existence is to share the magic in my world. I don't have to change anyone's mind. I don't have to teach anyone. I don't have to do anything other than talk about my own life and the magical energy that I live in. And I keep saying, and this is just my angels giving me an experience that is aligned with this abundant energy that I am magnetized to. It is not a lesson. It is not a lecture. It is not anything other than an experience that I get to share with you. I get to tell you how magical my life is, and I don't care what anybody thinks about it. I don't care if anybody cares about it. It's not my business how this lands with anyone else. But if you stayed till the end of this, which now I'm way deep into this episode, take it as it lands. That's all I tell you. So anyway, that was morning 7. I woke up still feeling exhausted. I couldn't go. I didn't go to my daughter's again until Friday, which I think was day 7, right? Tuesday, I don't know. Friday, which was day 6 or 7, I was able to go to my daughter's. I was still exhausted, but I knew she needed me. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. They came here. I said, could you please come here? I don't want to lug all my food over there. I still feel really tired. You're going to be right upstairs working. So they came here on Friday. I was exhausted, but I got through the day. I took a little short walk, made myself some dinner, all that stuff. So I've been integrating since then. Today, I still feel very asymptomatic, although all the really heavy symptoms are way gone. The pain in my back is gone. Now I'm just like, I think the integrative phase is still going on, although I am free from the heavy symptoms of it. The last 2 nights, I slept more deeply than I have in, I can't tell you how long. I watched my granddaughter last night, which was Saturday night, for my daughter and her husband who went to a wedding. So I was there till 1 a.m. I felt pretty good all day. I was with my granddaughter for about 12 hours yesterday. I felt pretty good. I just took it really easy, played with her all day. By the time I got home and fell into bed, I fell right out, which I very rarely fall right to sleep. And I slept 8 hours, which was such a gift. So I feel like I'm on the other end of this. So just to recap, this open-ended fast, my spirit guides needed my body empty in a fasted state in order to do this surgery. And if you think about your physical body, if you have to go into the hospital for surgery, they tell you to fast because they don't want food in your body disrupting or floating around while they're trying to do whatever they're doing. The first thing they tell you to do is fast. So it makes sense to me that in order to have spiritual surgery, which I now have 2 major ones, this has been the most intense spiritual ascension event I have experienced since the birth of my granddaughter 3 years ago. And I described that way back then. And I remember laughing when my spirit guide said, or through this channel said, it's going to be really intense, but you can handle it. I'm like, okay, before it was like, you're okay, we got you. Now it's like, you can handle it. I'm like, I'm an old pro at this, of course. But this 5-day fast I needed to be in a fasted state in order to have this spiritual surgery. And I was guided to do 5 days. I was done in 5. I went through the integration phase on day 4 and 5, which I knew because my back hurt so badly that I was done. I knew intuitively I was done because the fasting messages stopped abruptly on day 5. That's how I'm worked with. This is how our guides work with us. And I know I am a destined soul. I have a very big purpose. We all do. Sometimes this lifetime is meant to be just to heal, or maybe it is to do something good in the world, or maybe it's to do something for yourself. Whatever part of your evolutionary journey you're on is particular to you. So I would never say, and one other thing I'll mention too, which I intuitively did, and I would not recommend anybody do, please Do not imitate me. Don't do it. And I want to say that with all seriousness. Your guides, your oversoul, your lifetime is different than mine. Don't do what I do to try to get the result that I got. It doesn't work. Just telling you that. And the reason is because I did something that I would have never done mentally during this fast. I learned that I needed to do a water fast. The books that I almost ordered but didn't because I knew they weren't for me, this is what I was saying. Yes, I remembered it. I knew these books weren't for me because they're written for mainstream society. And if you think about someone who has evolved past the carbon-based molecular foundation in the body, I can't I can't follow guidance from books that are written for carbon-based humanity. Okay? The reason I want to punctuate that is because what I did, I would have normally not done. All these fasting books talk about how you need to drink water, 6 to 8 glasses of water a day. I can't drink that much water in a day. I tried on day 1 to drink 8 glasses of water. I could only drink 6. And that was me drinking all day long. And I knew intuitively, I'm like, I don't need all this water. So the next day I just started drinking water as I normally do during day 2 of the fast, or the second full day of the fast. I drank about 3 glasses, period. I didn't drink, I couldn't have anything else. So I just drank 3 glasses of water. And I was chewing Celtic salt because, real quickly, because I know we're getting long here. The water that comes through our tap is stripped of all its mineral value. Without magnesium, the water can't be hydrated. The water does not hydrate your cells. The magnesium, which is salt, which is not ionized salt, it's not table salt, Celtic salt, because it's harvested to maintain all the minerals. I was guided to chew a little tiny piece of Celtic salt and then drink water. And by chewing the salt, it gets absorbed into the I can't remember exactly what they're called, but anyway, through the mouth into the bloodstream. And then when the salt enters the bloodstream, it actually draws in the water and hydrates the cell. Without the salt or the magnesium, it can't hydrate the cell. This is why we die of hydration. This is why we age, because the cells aren't hydrated. So I've either been drinking plain tap water, which is filtered out. I filter out the fluoride because fluoride calcifies the pineal gland and the heavy metals. I've been adding Celtic salt to my water for a long time, or chewing salt before I drink it because I don't like to drink salt water. But we are primarily made of salt. Our tears are salty. Our blood is salty. All the liquid in our body is salt water. So by drinking clear water or plain water, we are not hydrating our bodies. I'm not saying to drink seawater. I'm saying to drink magnesium or mineralized water. So I don't drink tap water anymore. All I'm drinking in this transitional phase, and this transitional phase is taking me from a diet of veganism to a primarily fruit diet, where I get most of my structured water from the fruit that I eat. So there very well likely may come a time where I don't drink anything anymore and I only eat fruit. I don't know yet. That's the evolutionary or the path I'm on with my diet right now. It's going to continue to evolve. But anyway, my body is not carbon-based anymore. I cannot hold this amount of light in a carbon-based body. That's why I had to go through such a physical transformation. And I've described this over the last almost 5 years now, what I've gone through during this transformative phase. When you think about a butterfly, the caterpillar goes in, creates a chrysalis around it. And in that chrysalistic stage, the body of the caterpillar dissolves almost completely. And all that's utilized, and I don't know if this is technically correct, the water from the body helps create, that's not right. Just forget that. I don't know how it works technically. I'm not the technician. I don't need to know. All I know is that the caterpillar dissolves, and then in that crystallized state, and when the new being emerges, it is a winged being. It now goes from being an earth being to a divine being, basically. You can look at it that way. That body is no longer carbon-based. It is now crystalline-based. It not only allows it to take in light, but it allows it to fly. So, a rock can't fly. a hummingbird flies, but a rock can't fly. So those are two extremes. Anyway, that probably got all mixed up. But anyway, my point is that because my body is mostly light, I can't follow the advice from doctors or experts who write about fasting for mainline society. And this is why I was intuitively guided not to buy a book, and why I was intuitively guided to do what I wouldn't have done otherwise. And I'll explain what it is. This is a water fast that I did for 5 days. And whenever you fast, you have to drink a lot of water, according to conventional wisdom. I'm not a conventional person anymore. I stopped drinking water, a lot of water after the first day intuitively. I'm like, my body doesn't want it. I'm not drinking it. Please don't do what I'm doing. Just let me say that again. If you're still mostly carbon, this is going to work for you. So just know that. So I knew intuitively to drink less water, and I just started drinking less water. I didn't care. I'm like, I know my body knows what it needs. It's not all the water. I can't drink it. Physically cannot drink it. By the time I got to day 3, I started receiving posts in my social media about dry fasting. And I instantaneously knew this was for me. Again, nothing comes in that is distorted because my field is clear. Nothing can penetrate it that isn't meant for me. Let me just say that again. This is what a cleared energetic field, a cleared biofield. My aura is clear. I can't be penetrated by anything that isn't for me. So I see this post about dry fasting, and this gentleman is this beautiful young man, shirtless young man with his beautiful physique, is talking about how he doesn't drink water at all anymore, and how when he fasts, he doesn't drink it at all either, that he dry fasts. And he said, you have to be really careful how you do it. And I don't remember what he said. I don't want to share that because don't take it at face value. I just knew it was meant for me. Another post came, a young man who said, again, I don't drink anything. He said, I get all of my water. My body makes its own water. He said, I still pee, but I don't drink water. And I don't know the overall context. All I got was the breadcrumb. And I knew it was meant to intuitively guide me. So by day 4, I'm laying in bed, and the pain in my legs was just terrible. I said, I feel like I'm being guided to do the dry fast. And I said, I'm going to do it. So for the last 24 hours of my fast, I didn't drink anything at all. And what I learned about this from the social media post, from enlightened, and I'm using the word light because I'm referring to the light being, or the light foundation of the body of the new human, which is crystalline. It is not carbon. These people are telling me through these social media posts that I'm serendipitously receiving that they are not, that they're doing this dry fast. And the reason why is, and I don't Google anything because I'm not going to get this wisdom from conventional wisdom, that the reason is the cellular renewal is exponentially is accelerated during the dry part of the fast. But you can't do it every day. I didn't research anything. I didn't say, well, how long should I dry fast? And I knew intuitively that I didn't need to. I said to my guides, I said, I'm going to dry fast the last 24 hours because what happens is, from what I understand from these people, not from these conventional outlets of information, which are the books and the conventional wisdom about what you should eat and drink and how much and all this stuff, doesn't matter. It doesn't apply to me anymore. I don't pay attention to any of it. The dry fast allows this molecular cleansing, this renewal of new molecules, which is another thing I want to mention. During this fasted state, after day 1, you start creating new stem cells, which is a growth hormone, which aids the body in regenerating itself. And if you remember, I'm doing an experiment about regenerating my body. I do a ritual every morning when I do my lymphatic drainage routine, which I never did before. My diet, I said, I'm not using products or procedures. I'm using ritual, speaking to my body and my diet to reverse age or to regenerate my cells. And of course, I'm guided to do this 5-day fast during the same period because my body is creating naturally new stem cells, which is allowing for new cellular regeneration and also new brain cells. So I'm quite literally, we are during a fasted state, allowing our bodies to do what we naturally would do if we didn't eat all the time. Because the body digesting all the time takes all the body's energy and it can't do this regenerative work. This is why we're guided. I've been guided to eat like my ancestors did. like the hunter-gatherers, where we might have a feast today, but we don't eat for 2 days. This is intermittent fasting, which I've also adopted into my diet. So much more here, but I know I'm getting very long. But I know conventional wisdom doesn't apply anymore, so I don't need a book. The one book I was guided to, which I will mention, is called Man's Higher Consciousness by Hilton. Oh boy, Humara. I'll link it in the description on YouTube and on Buzzsprout. But the book is all about the body and how the body is purely energy, and that the body doesn't use food at all. It doesn't use any of it. It's just a disruption to the body's natural process of taking in plasmic and photon light, the ionic energy from the atmosphere, and how food distorts and disrupts, and how we die because we eat. So anyway, I'll link the book. Please do your own research, have your own experience. Your soul wants you to have your own experience. I'm not doing what anyone else is doing. I'm doing what I feel guided to do because I cleared my intuitive channel. And I'm having a completely different life, a magical life full of flipping sparkles. And by the way, the next night I went to bed. And as I lay in bed, the sparkles came back, and the emanation of energy, that my room looked completely alive, only when it was very dark. And I laid there and enjoyed it for another half hour, 40 minutes before I fell asleep. The diamonds all over my blanket. But the next night, which was 2 nights ago, they were gone. I didn't see them at all. And last night, I got to bed very late because I watched my granddaughter into the evening. I couldn't stay awake long enough to see. So I don't know, but I feel like it was a gift from the angels. The sparkles was just a magical experience for me to have as a validation that my life is magical. And I should expect miracles because that's what I experience every day is magic and miracles. And that is my life now. That is my world. And I just wanted to share that with you because it was so incredibly extraordinary. I'm still shaky. I'm still integrating. I don't know what other gifts are going to emerge from this. But right now, I'm just grateful to have this incredible magical story to share. And I hope that you enjoyed it, that maybe you got something out of it. Maybe it is something similar. If you watch this whole thing, if you're experiencing anything like it, I would love to hear from you. Again, my video episodes are only on YouTube at Postcards from a Soul. You can find my audio episodes everywhere else. My website also has a link to my YouTube channel, which is postcardsfromasoul.com. And thank you again for your presence and for witnessing this incredible journey that I'm so excited and grateful to share with you. I will see you in the next one. Thanks.